Hey guys, I'm going to go over your volume study guide. I would suggest that you go ahead and do the study guide by yourself first, and then come back to this video when you're ready to check your answers or anything that you need help with. So go ahead and do that now, and then come back when you're ready to check. I'm going to go ahead and get started with number one. In the problem, it tells me that the box is measured 12 inches on each side. So I know that this is a cube, and I need to know how many cubic inches the box will hold. So I need to find the volume of a cube. For any prism, I'm going to use the formula area of the base times the height. Since the base is a square, I'm going to find the length times the width times the height, and then I know that they're all the same number. So I'm going to do 12 times 12 times 12, or 12 to the third power. That exponent of 3 means cubed, so 12 cubed will give me the same thing, which is 1,728 cubic inches. Number two asks me to find the volume of this triangular prism. Since it's a prism, I'm going to use the formula volume equals area of the base times the height. Since the base is a triangle, I'm going to use the formula 1/2 times the base times the height, because that's the formula for area of a triangle. And then I'll multiply the area of the triangle by the height of the prism, because that's what makes it 3D. It's asking me to find the volume. Now I'm going to plug in my values. When I look at the triangle, I want the base and the height. It's what makes the L shape or the right angle. So 2 and 2 are the dimensions for the triangle. I would not use that 2.8 inches because that's the slanty side of the triangle. The formula doesn't ask me for the slanty side. It wants me to find the base and the height of the triangle, and that is what makes the L or the right angle. After finding the area of the triangle, I'll multiply by the height of the prism. The height of the prism is what connects the bases. So the bases are triangles. So I'm looking for the number that connects the two triangles. In this case, that's 5. And now that I have all my values plugged in, I just multiply to solve. This gives me a total volume of 10 cubic inches for the triangular prism. For number 3, you're asked to find the volume of this compound figure. It's a compound figure because it's two rectangular prisms that are attached. So the first thing I'm going to do is detach them. I'm going to decompose this 3D figure into two rectangular prisms. So the first thing I see is this red rectangular prism on the bottom. It's a rectangular prism, so I'm going to do volume equals area of the base times the height. And since the base is a rectangle, I'm just going to do 12 times 3 times the height 5, and then simplify to get a volume of 180 cubic centimeters for the box on the bottom. Now I need to get that rectangular prism on the top. I'm going to use the same formula, area of the base times the height. So I know I'm going to need the length, the width, and the height. So I've got a 4 for the length. I can see that this 3 down here is going to be the 3 for all of those dimensions. So that is a 3. And then the last thing I need is how tall this is. Since all the way across here is 9 and just up to there is 5, I know I'm going to do 9 minus 5 to get what's remaining, which makes it 4 centimeters tall. Now that I got my dimensions, I'm going to plug those values into my formula. 4, 4, and 3 get multiplied to get me a product of 48 cubic centimeters. So now I have the volume of the rectangular prism on the bottom, and I have the one on the top. Now, since it's a compound figure, I just need to add or combine those values. 180 plus 48 gives me a total volume of 228 cubic centimeters. Number 4 tells me we have a rectangular prism, and we can see that in the tissue box below. I know the dimensions, and I know that it's asking me to find volume. So to find volume of a rectangular prism, I'm going to use the formula volume equals area of the base times the height. Since the base is a rectangle, it's a rectangular prism, I'm going to do length times width times height. And you can multiply all these numbers out, and you'll get a total volume of like 299.5 something. But since it says approximately, I'm just going to multiply 5 times 10 and just kind of round those numbers. 5 times 10 is 50. 50 times 6 is approximately 300 centimeters cubed. Again, because it says approximately, I can do that. It's just about 300. So if you had that 299 or a little bit above, that's fine. Number 5 is a question about a rectangular prism, and we have the volume of this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to write down our formula and then plug in our values. The formula for a rectangular prism is volume equals area of the base times the height. Since it tells me the volume, I'm going to start by writing that down because that's what's written down in our formula. So 1,680 equals, and then we need the area of the base. Since we have those two numbers, 30 and 7, and the area of the base is a rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and multiply those. 7 times 30 is 210, and all that's left in this formula is to multiply by the height. Since we don't know the height, I'm just going to use that variable x. And when I have this set up like this, I just have a one-step equation. So I draw my line down the equals, and I need to get rid of everything that's around the x. So I need to get rid of a times 210. I'm working backwards. So I'm going to divide both sides by 210, which gives me a height of 8. And I can double check my work because if I do 30 times 7 times 8, I'll end up with a total volume of 1,680. Number 6 shows us a picture of a triangular prism and asks us to find how many cubic feet the shipping box holds. These are clues that this is a question about volume of this triangular prism. So I always start with the formula. Volume equals area of the base times the height. Since the shape of the base is a triangle, I'm going to use the formula 1/2 times the base times the height of the triangle to get the area of that base shape. Then I'm going to multiply that area times the height of the prism. That's the number that makes it 3D or connects the bases. Now I'm going to plug in my values starting with the triangle. So I'm looking on the triangle for the base and the height. It's the two numbers that make the right angle. So I see the square box there, and I see that those numbers are 3.5 and 4. So those are the values that I plug in. I do not include this 4 because that 4 is the slanty side of the triangle, and I don't need that for my formula for area of a triangle. Next, I need to find the height of the prism. That's the number that connects the bases. In this case, that's 6. So I plug in a 6 for the height of the prism. Now I've got all my values plugged in. I just have to multiply to solve, which gives me a total volume of 42 cubic feet for this triangular prism. For the next section, we're looking at real life problems with volume. So these are the word problems. We got to read carefully. Number 7, it says that the local aquarium has a tank that's filled 3/4 of the way with water. So the question asks about volume of the tank, which I'm going to use the formula area of the base times the height like normal. But since it's filled 3/4 of the way full, I need to take whatever answer I get and multiply it by 3/4. So let's go ahead and plug in our values. Since it's a rectangular prism, I see that it's got a base shape of a rectangle. So I'm going to use the formula length times width, or 32 times 8, multiply that by the height, 16. This gives me a total volume of 4,096 cubic inches. However, it's filled only 3/4 the way up with water. I know that of means times, and I'm going to do 3/4 times the total to get my volume of 3,072 cubic inches of water that's actually in this aquarium. Number 8 tells me I've got a rectangular prism, and it's 6 by 4 by 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the picture. And the question goes on to tell me that soil costs 130 per cubic foot. Cubic foot is a clue word, and it asks me about filling the garden. So this is a question about volume. And since it's a rectangular prism, it doesn't matter where I put those numbers. I'm just going to multiply all three of them since the base shape is a rectangle. So the volume of the prism is 48 cubic feet. However, the question was asking me if the soil costs $1.30 per cubic foot, it wants to know how it costs. And that per is going to mean times. So I'm going to take 130 times the amount of cubic feet that I have. And that's what I just found for the volume. When I do that, I get 62.4. And again, this is the cost. So I need to write that as money. So put your dollar sign and add your zero at the end, and you'll figure out that your final answer is $62.40 to fill that above ground garden completely. Number 9 has a lot of steps to this, so let's take it one piece at a time. First of all, it's a layered birthday cake, and there's 2 rectangular prisms on top of each other. So the cake looks something like this. And then it tells me some dimensions. So it says the base layer, the bottom one, measures 12 inches by 10 inches. It says the second layer, so the one on top, is 3 inches smaller in width and length. 3 smaller than 12 is 9. 3 smaller than 10 is 7. Then it tells me that both of the layers are 4 inches tall. With all that information, I'm going to find the volume of the cake in total. So the first thing I'll do is find the volume of the top rectangular prism. It's a 9 by 4 by 7 rectangular prism. So it is a total volume of 252 cubic inches. Now I'm going to find the volume of the bottom rectangular prism. So it's a 12 by 10 by 4 rectangular prism, which means its total volume is 480 cubic inches. Now to find their total volume, I'm going to add each of their volumes together to get a total combined volume of 732 cubic inches. For number 10, we're comparing 2 people. We have Kathy and Marco stacking cubes. So I'm going to start out by writing their names off to the side. And we'll start with Kathy first. It says that she's stacking cubes that measure 2 by 2 by 2. Since this is a question about volume, I know I'm going to find 2 times 2 times 2 to find the volume of 1 cube. 1 cube is worth 8 cubic centimeters, and Kathy has 8 of them. If each cube has a volume of 8 and Kathy has 8, each one is going to be multiplied by 8. So 8 times 8 is the volume of 64 in total for Kathy. Now Marco has the same cube, so he has a volume of 8 per 1 cube, except he has 5 cubes, so each one of them is worth 8. 5 times 8 is 40. And now the question says, how much greater or how much more is the volume of Kathy's stack? I know that this is a question asking me to subtract Kathy's volume minus Marco's volume. That's going to give me what's left over, their difference of 24 cubic centimeters. Number 11 tells me I'm looking at a triangular prism, and I can see that in the picture. And the question's asking me for how many cubic feet of water does the pool hold. This is a question about volume of a triangular prism. I know that formula is volume equals area of the base times the height. And since there's triangular bases, I know I'm going to use the formula 1/2 times the base times the height of the triangle to get the area of the base shape. Then I'm going to multiply that number by the height of the prism. Now I'm going to plug in my value. So I'm looking for the triangles first, and I'm looking for the base and the height. So I'm looking for the shape that makes an L. I'm looking for the right angle. I see that with a 14 and a 6. So I know that to find the area of the triangle, I'm going to do 1/2 times 14 times 6. I'm going to multiply that number by the height of the prism, or the number that makes it 3D. That 9 connects the bases, so that is the height of the prism. Now you just simplify by multiplying all of your values, which gets you a total volume of 378 cubic feet. The last question tells me the area of the base of a trapezoidal prism. It also tells me the height, and this is a question asking for the volume. So I know the volume of a prism is area of the base times the height. Since it told me in the problem the area of the base is 95, I'm just going to plug in a 95 for area of the base. And it tells me the height of the prism is 9 centimeters. I'm going to plug that in for the height, and then I'm going to multiply to find a total volume of 855 cubic centimeters. If I was going to describe my process to how to determine my solution, I know that volume of these prisms is found by taking the area of the base times the height. Since it told me both of those numbers, all I had to do is multiply them. I didn't need to know how to find the area of a trapezoid. It told me what the area of that base shape was. And that's it. So let me know if you have any questions. Good luck on your test. Bye.